The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome. Yes, we are back once again. It is the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester, and joining me tonight, it is, please welcome Mr. Liam Hodgins. Good evening, Liam. How are you?
Good evening, Lester. I'm very well. Enjoying the cold, well, I was going to say the cold Scottish weather up here, and my mic stand's starting to break as well, so I'm kind of holding that up with a leg at the moment. So. Tonight on the show we will be discussing all the latest coming out of MotoGP in the paddock, not just MotoGP as well. Any big news breaking during the show, because that sometimes does happen to try and keep us on the back foot. Yeah, and we always miss it. But we will keep abreast of every big bit of news that has emerged from the motorcycle racing world, including the BSB paddock as well. There's been a little bit of movement also in the BSB support categories as well. Hello to everybody tuned in live right now on this Halloween. Oh no, we're not going to do anything cheesy. I mean, you can if you want, Liam. I forgot it was Halloween, so I've got nothing prepared.
Okay. Are you one of those sort of people who sort of like creeps around the house trying to, with the lights off on Halloween to try and avoid the kids knocking on your door? Because I'm not, totally.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm just going to, like, as the night goes on, I'm just going to sort of dim the whole light system.
Fair enough. So anyway, we are live on this Halloween, 31st of October, and you can get in touch with us and prove that we are indeed live. Get your messages to us. If you have disagreed, or if you fancy a bit of a disagreement with anything that Liam will say, or anything that I'll say, then feel free, because you don't just have to agree with us. It's nice if you do, but you don't have to. In fact, we welcome a bit of hearty disagreement, as long as you keep it clean and moderately respectful, I would say. Hello to everyone on the BSB fans and support categories Facebook group on Facebooks. Hello, if you tuned in. Hello to, I don't know, who else? Big question tonight, Leon Haslam. I thought that was a done deal, him going to Honda.
Well, no, it's not yet.
Okay.
There's a lot of rumours going around that he is going to Honda, and
massive
sources are saying rumor that it is a done deal, but yeah, nothing has been confirmed just yet, so watch this space.
Okay, well, I suppose...
Yeah, we'll be going into...
Yeah. Question is...
Yeah, we can go into a bit more detail about it later.
Yeah, is... where would he go otherwise? I think we talked about it mostly on last week's show and in previous week's shows, but if he's not going there, that would be a bit of a turn-up for the books, I would suggest. But where else could he go? That might be a question on tonight's show. Unless you want to ask a better question, you can do so. Get in touch with us. It's at Motorsport Radio on the old Twitter, Motorsport Radio on Facebook, and or you can just leave your comment in the comments box below, wherever you tuned into this. Hello to everybody who's not listening live and has downloaded the show via, Spotify or the Apple Podcast app thing as well. We get quite a few people tuned in that way, so hello. Anyway, so on with tonight's show. We start, as usual, with the premier class in motorcycle world racing, MotoGP. What's the latest, Liam?
So we're starting off with some injury news, unfortunately, for Tito Rabat fans. Tito Rabat will not be racing this weekend. It's a massive shame, and basically this kind of went unnoticed for most people, is that he suffered sort of a contusion to his wrist in a training accident between Thailand and Japan. Now, there was a bit of talk about it, and he only lasted 3 laps in the race in Australia and before he pulled into the pit retiring. So he might need a bit of surgery in Barcelona before the Valencian round in a couple of weeks' time. So, yeah, Tito Rabat won't be racing this weekend, so there'll be only one Aventura Ducati in the hands of Carol Abraham this weekend. But good news for Miguel Oliveira fans, he will be trying to ride this weekend with obviously the Tech 3 KTM squad after he missed the race last weekend due to that massive crash he had at Phillip Island last weekend during FP4, where basically the winds were so high.
Oh wow! Jesus.
Yeah, did you see that?
I did.
So basically he got blown off the racetrack and into turn one, and it's 180 miles an hour going through turn one. So he was very lucky not to break anything, but he's suffering with a bit of shoulder and hand injuries at the moment. So he's going to try and ride. If it's too much for him, he'll probably just pull out the event, but at least he's trying to go for it. So, but those wins last week were just so much. It was the right decision, I think, to cancel qualifying on Saturday and have it on the Sunday. And to be fair, I quite like the qualifying on Sunday, if I'm honest with you. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I thought, hey, this is pretty cool. Have the warm-ups, then have the MotoGP qualifying, and then you're straight into the races. Might be the only one that thought that was quite cool. But talking about a bit more of injuries, Fabio Quartararo suffered an absolute horrendous crash, an egg beater of a crash in FP1 on Friday, and he injured his ankle. And he's been doing some exercises, feeling a little bit better. And I know exactly how Fabio Quartararo feels, because a couple of weeks ago I injured my ankle, and I got a letter from the NHS basically telling me how to how to do exercises. So basically, you've got to sort of pull your ankle back up and hold it for 5 seconds, and then let it back down again, and then pull your foot back up again for 5 seconds. So he's been doing sort of stuff like that, and just not walking on it as much as he should do. So yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't injure your ankle the same way, though, did you? How did you injure your ankle? Was it involving beer, I think?
No, it didn't involve beer. Just involved slipping off a step at work. And that's how I injured my ankle. Definitely. I know it's not a cool story. I wish it was as cool as Quartararo's saying, yeah, I just fell off a motorbike 150 miles an hour, flew 10 feet through the air, came crashing down on my foot, and yeah, that's how I injured my ankle. It's a great way to start a conversation at a bar, isn't it? And unlike saying, yeah, I just slipped off a step at work, and that's how I injured it.
Oh, how did you injure your leg? Oh, I injured it on while I was riding a MotoGP bike. Just nothing, just whatever.
Yeah, it's just basically part of the job, isn't it? Yeah. So, but yeah, he'll be fine this weekend. Saying he's in a bit of pain, but not too much, which is good to hear. So, fingers crossed there won't be any more injuries this weekend. It's coming towards the end of the season, and this is where injuries tend to happen, where people are pushing to maybe score to higher places in the championship, some good results. Usually they call this sort of silly season time, but we know that everyone is signed up for next season, so no one's riding to try and secure a job for next year. But it's the usual time when injuries do happen, and if injuries happen, then people decide to take some time out to try and recover for next year.
Okay. I was just checking out some comments, actually, that had flooded in on the internet. Hello, if you are tuned in, listening live. This is Motorsport Radio. It's the Superbike Show, and I was totally paying attention, Liam.
You always do, Lester.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you weren't.
So, Dovizioso, then.
That man, yes. Not happy.
Why not?
Yeah, so Dovizioso's not happy because basically he's been trounced by Marc Marquez this whole season. Now, you might remember 2 years ago. If you're new to MotoGP, you won't remember this. We'll give you a quick recap. 2 years ago, Andrea Dovizioso challenged Marc Marquez all the way down to Valencia and just missed out on the title. Last season, he wasn't as close. There was a few mistakes between himself and Ducati. This season, it's gone a little bit more awry. So, yeah, Andrea Dovizioso is not happy because even though Ducati have shown that it can beat Marc Marquez, it's just fallen through the gaps far too often in 2019, and he will actually have to pick himself up because he did win the race back in 2016 and 2017 at Sepang this weekend. So yeah, so he's going to have to keep his head up because Sepang and in Malaysia is actually a very good track for him. Talking of Marc Marquez, now this is a nice wee stat for you if you don't know this one yet. But Marc Marquez is 8 points off of the all-time points scored in a single season. So he's on 375, and the person who holds the record is his Repsol Honda teammate Jorge Lorenzo from 2010. So basically, if Marquez finishes 7th or higher this weekend in Malaysia, he will take the all-time points scored within a single season. If he wins the race this weekend, he'll be the first ever rider to score 400 points in a single season. So there's a lot of history to be made this weekend. And to be fair, Marc Marquez hasn't finished outside the top two the whole season, apart from when he fell off at Kota back in April. So
the one you jinxed him at?
Yeah.
And this weekend, of course. Or the next race.
I'm not going to jinx him. Don't worry at all.
Fair enough.
So, so Mark Marquez will have a chance of taking the honour of having the most points scored in a season. So it'll be very interesting to see if it happens this weekend. If not, then I'm sure it will happen at Valencia. But we've got to wait and see to see how it all goes. But Mark Marquez definitely on a roll, and he's only 1 point off of Ducati. So in the team's championship, I say Mark Marquez as the Repsol Honda as a team, but I'm saying Mark Marquez is 1 point off of Ducati because he's basically been doing all of the groundwork for the team.
Well, yeah, it's not been Lorenzo, is it? Let's be honest.
No, unfortunately not. Yeah, Lorenzo's only scored 23 points over the 13 rounds he has competed in. We have to remember he had a massive injury during the season. But, he's only scored 23 points. Stefan Bradl stepped in for a couple of rounds, scored 16 points. So that's kind of helped Repsol Honda a little bit. But Marc Marquez is single-handedly trying to make Repsol Honda win the team's championship. And if Ducati keep scoring really badly like they did in Phillip Island, and as they have done throughout various times this year, then if Marc Marquez wins both races, you never know, he could end up winning the championship for Repsol Honda in the team. So it'll be a big if, but if anyone could do it, it could be Marc Marquez. One rider that'll be beaming from ear to ear will be Cal Crutchlow, because he basically banished the demons of 2018. 2018, he suffered an almighty crash where he shattered his ankle, and it was a bit of a hard time for him coming back through it. So he managed to eventually build himself back up, went through some physio, came back this year, got a podium back in Qatar, but at times throughout the year it has plagued him quite a lot, where it's been very, very difficult for him to walk or function normally. So second place, which very easily could have been a win if Maverick Vinales did end up skittling out Marc Marquez on the last lap of the race. So yeah, Maverick Vinales could have ended up not only ruining his race or taking himself out of that race, but Marc Marquez as well, and Cal Crutchlow could have been a 4-time MotoGP winner. But it's good not to see someone lose a race in that sense. So Cal Crutchlow, second place in front of his mate Jack Miller. So for the first time ever, Miller and Crutchlow got to share podium together, which was great to see, because they're they're just a great bunch, good mates, good bunch of guys. So it was good to see them.
Okay.
So
I just have a quick question. Apart from questions about my attire tonight, which is I just thought I'd try something new instead of a t-shirt. Why not check out the old Tesco winter collection? Anyway, but no, actual question. Will potentially, now I know we've talked about it on this show, and even I have gone as far as to suggest it, only to be laughed out of the show. I think, that's pretty much accurate as to what did happen. When I suggested maybe Zarco could indeed replace Lorenzo. But, serious question, because more people are talking about it now, can or will Zarco actually replace Lorenzo?
I'm actually not surprised this came up in conversation. I was expecting it at some point. It's hard. Yes and no. If that's
doesn't make
not
sense.
Me sitting on the fence. Yeah, I know. But there's a lot going against Lorenzo. There's a lot going against Zarco to replace Lorenzo. Now, coming from Spain, not from Spain, from Australia, the talk from Spanish journalists was that Lorenzo was ready to make a retirement announcement at Phillip Island. Obviously, Lorenzo squashed those rumours, saying, what you're talking about, that's not the case. Now, in the race, Lorenzo finished 64 seconds or 66 seconds off of the win, off his teammate Marc Marquez. Now, I think if he lost 10 more seconds in the race, he would have been lapped by his own teammate. And he was 40 seconds off of Johan Zarco, who was riding that Honda for the first time. So it's hard to gauge. Lorenzo said that it was the worst week. It wasn't his worst weekend of his career, but it was definitely his worst weekend.
It's hard
race
to tell
weekend
nowadays.
Of the
He's
season.
having so many shitters, and he's.
Yeah, he is. And I was reading a quote from him earlier on today on Autosport, and it's really sad to read this, because basically the quote says, "I'm disappointed, I am sad, I am not happy professionally, but this is the situation for the results." For the feeling of the bike, it's probably the worst I've lived as a rider. It's for a champion of Lorenzo's caliber. It just makes for hard reading, because we know Lorenzo wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's a very emotional guy. We saw that towards the end of last year with Ducati, and there's going to be 20 rounds next year. If he's not happy and he's not going to feel good with the Honda, then why should he continue? There's no point in spending another 12 months, another 20 races, feeling the way you're feeling right now. Now,
it reminds me of an elderly relative who's probably like well late into their 80s, and they're still driving a car, they're still on an automobile, and they're and the family having a discussion about whether we should just take the keys off. Like, come on now, Grandma, I think it's time now to stop. And then she's like, "Oh, like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. I just need to, maybe, in a few months things will be back. I'll be back to my best." And then you're like, "No, I think you've had your time now, love." It's a bit like that with Lorenzo and Rossi. Mostly Lorenzo.
More so Lorenzo. Yeah, more so Lorenzo at the moment. Now, he was showing good pace at different points before his accident. Obviously, the first couple of laps in Barcelona. Then there was some tests at Qatar earlier on in the season where he was showing pace before he picked up his injury during the first round. We know the speed is still there, but the thing that I'm wondering about is how much is that injury from Assen playing on his mind mentally now, because it was a big crash and he did badly hurt himself to the point where it could have been career ending. And it's hard to get your head around that. But the older you get, the more you will think about these accidents, the more you'll have them playing on your mind. And he has admitted he's scared. I know I've mentioned this in previous shows, but as soon as you admit you're scared, then it's just a losing battle, basically. There's no way of coming... Well, I can imagine there probably is a way of coming back from that, but it's just an uphill struggle. So he's not tested the 2020 bike. Marquez and Crutchlow have. They have said that from what they've tested so far, there's not much difference between the 2019 bike and the 2020 bike. Now, the only thing that could help him is that there's been a bit of time between them testing that bike and the next test at Valencia, and of course the season starting next year. But reading a very interesting quote from Lucio Cecchinello today on GP1.com, an Italian website, is that he says that if Lorenzo, after the Valencia test, is not happy, he sees the next 20 rounds of next year and 12 months are going to be the same, then there's a good chance he probably will just call it quits for at least maybe a year. Maybe he'll just take a year out and then try and come back in 2021 when we're expecting a massive shake-up of the MotoGP grid. But if not, then if there's no improvement, then it's going to be hard for Honda and Lorenzo to continue the way it is, because it's really... You don't want to see someone of Lorenzo's caliber going out like this. It's one of the saddest things to see. And Honda, they are a big corporation, even though they're supporting Lorenzo, apart from maybe Alberto Puig, but we know that he's still trying to support him and try and push him forward. So it's a tough one to call. I reckon if Zarco does score top 10s in the next two races and Lorenzo doesn't get in the points, I seriously think Honda will consider replacing Lorenzo with Zarco in 2020. The whole thing, there's not a massive comparison between them, because even though they're riding Hondas, Zarco is on last year's bike, which apparently is a much nicer bike to ride. It's sweeter to handle. The only thing it doesn't have is acceleration that the new bike has. So
he'll need that.
Yeah, he will need that. So but apparently Zarco is very happy with the bike. He said he came in after his sessions and went, "People tell me the Honda, you can't feel the front. Well, I can feel it, and it's allowed me to do everything I want to do." So he was loving it. He was really enjoying the Honda. And he says that he's learned quite a few things from the Honda that he's putting into his riding style. So it can go either way. And for Lorenzo's sake, for the fans' sake, I want to see Lorenzo do really well, because him on his day, wow, he is something to watch. And you just know that if he can get back to full fitness and can just sort out what is wrong, then he, on a good day, he can really give Marc Marquez a hard time, which we really need at the moment, because Marc Marquez is become, even though he's getting challenged by Quartararo and Maverick Vinales sometimes, and Rins to a certain extent, we need that person that's there every single weekend, just nipping at his heels. So, yeah, I would like to see Lorenzo back, but if it continues like this, I can't see him and Honda staying together for much longer.
A couple of people have been in touch. Jay King, hello. Jay King, champion in Cool Fab Racing. Hello, good evening, Jay. And regular listener to the show, listening live, saying Ducati have had a bad season. Lorenzo's had a bad season. They should have really stayed together. They would have both taken it to Marc Marquez.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Because they were showing great pace together when they were together in 2018.
Though, really. Phil Thomas has also been on. Says Leicester steady with the Rossi comments. I wonder who he's a fan of. Hello, by the way, Phil. Thank you for tuning in. Will Kearney's been on and asks, are we going to the Motorcycle Live at the NEC? Possibly. Don't know yet.
When is that again? Is it
shortly? Soon.
It's in 2 weeks.
A couple of weeks. Yeah.
Oh, I'm in Valencia when that's on. Damn. I was hoping to go.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, to be honest. If I go, I'll probably just turn up. Hello to everybody as well who said hello to me at Brands Hatch a couple of weeks ago at the final.
Yeah, he's not stopped talking about this. Literally, he's like, "Oh yeah, you never mentioned that you're signing autographs now." I saw a picture posted of you signing an autograph. I was like, "Oh, look at this, Lester the celebrity." That was
really just sort of taking the piss. That was more for Kiko's benefit, really, to be honest, because previous presenter on the show, Kiko Giles, who I believe is over in Belgium now, according to his Instagram, we just thought we'd wind him up by some person. Anyway, it's hard to explain how that happened, but anyway, he was suitably jealous, and job done. Thank you, anyway, Liam. So what we were talking about then? Lorenzo. Or shall we move on from Lorenzo? Because only time will tell, really. We do like Lorenzo. I like Lorenzo. But it's not, things are not 10 years ago, are they? And people are getting on now. And like you said, you're getting older, and it's a lot more difficult to recover from injuries, as I can vouch for. Anyway. That's it. Any more MotoGP bits of info?
No more info. Well, I did, before coming on here, I was looking at a Rossi article. I know you've been told to calm it down with the Rossi stuff, but basically,
go on then,
Rossi's
and get everybody with your anti-Rossi. Go on.
So Rossi's basically he's been asked to compare 2019 with his Ducati years, and he says, it's just a little bit better. So 2019 has not been a good year for Valentino Rossi. At least it's not as bad as the Ducati years, but it's still not been good because he's still struggling with the tyre. He gave everyone hope at Phillip Island by taking the lead of the race, being there for 3 laps, his 400th Grand Prix, and then all of a sudden he just slipped back to 8th place and 16 seconds off the win. So, tyre, the rear tyre has been his big issue for at least the second half of the year, and he still can't figure out what to do with it. So, but as I said, silver linings and everything, at least it's not as bad as the Ducati years, but just a little bit better.
Okay, fair enough. And you, last week it was now, it's a full week ago now, time flies. You put together a fantastic video that is still available to watch up on the motorsport.radio website, all about 10 of Valentino Rossi's best or most spectacular races out of his 400 to date. Yeah,
I've been getting people asking me why Catalonia 2009 isn't in it. Now, the reason it's not in there, I know. People class that as his best win of all time, which I'm not going to disagree with. The reason it's not in there is because, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, is because I didn't forget. definitely kept out of there on purpose, is because it's in his most incredible races. So I'm basically looking at it from times that he came back from having sort of something going against him. So basically, like these two rides when he came back from injury, or if he was not expected to win, like Laguna Seca 2008 or Donington Park 2005 when he ran off track and then he went 3 seconds a lap quicker than everyone else. That's the reason. 2009, him and Lorenzo were the easiest the fastest riders. That doesn't sound right. Easiest the fastest on track that day and that weekend, and most of the year. Yamaha was the best bike, so it just scuppered away. So all he had to do was race against Lorenzo. And yeah, if I was making a video of like his top 10 best wins, that would definitely be in the top 3. But that's the reason I kept Catalan out, is because everyone expected either Lorenzo or Rossi to win. If it wasn't going to happen, he would have came second. So
it was just clickbait, basically.
No, not at all.
Fair enough. Well,
I just wanted to clear that up.
Check out the full 10 of Liam's most, what did you call it? Spectacular races?
Incredible, I think it was.
Most
I
incredible.
Can't really remember.
But yeah, of Rossi's comebacks, his races of his 400, basically, which happened last weekend, his 400th. And if you disagree with any, then do let Liam know.
And many of you have.
Yeah, why not? Because it's just one person's opinion. If you think some other races happen to have been better, then do let us know. It's just all opinion. Just keep it clean. Right. So, are we done with MotoGP for the time being, or is there anything else?
We are done with MotoGP. We can probably move on to Moto2 and Moto3.
All right. Well, I don't recall much big news from MotoGP. This shirt's pissing me off. Rolling my sleeves up now. Right. Moto2, Moto3.
Yeah, so Moto2, Alex Marquez is coming under a lot of pressure now from Thomas Luthi and Brad Binder. So 2 rounds to go, 50 points still in play. Thomas Luthi is only 28 points behind Alex Marquez, and Brad Binder is 36, if I remember correctly. 34, sorry. So 34 points behind Alex Marquez. He took a big chunk, 16 points out of his lead at the last round. So anything to play for. If Alex Marquez has a good Malaysia, then he probably will wrap it up. If he has a bad Malaysia, then it's all to play for. And I don't think he'll win it if he has a bad Malaysia. I'm putting it out there right now, and I could be very wrong, and lots of people might disagree with me. But the way Brad Binder and KTM are going right now, if Alex Marquez finishes outside the top 5 in Malaysia, I'm going to put my money on Brad Binder for the championship come Valencia. So,
how much?
Yeah, put my chips in. I'll put down a wee Scottish fiver. Does that sound?
So a pound. Fair enough.
50
okay.
pence.
So on-air betting. Would you bet against Liam and his bets for Binder? Then let us know. We've had another comment flood in. Hello to people tuned in still, amazingly, on the BSB and Support Classes Fans Facebook group on the Facebook. And a question come in saying, after the good weekend Aprilia and Iannone had in Australia, do you guys think this could be a confidence booster they needed, that they've turned a corner? That coming in from a Mr. Grant Hodgins.
Oh, him. I don't think so. I really don't think they have turned a corner. I know Grant is a Iannone fan, so he will want to hear that they have turned a corner. But Iannone did come out with an interesting quote saying that the Aprilia bike is too easy to ride. And that's why he's struggling, because he's used to bikes that are quite tough to ride. So I didn't quite get that quote. So Iannone is struggling with the bike more so than Alicia Spargaro. Now, the good thing about Phillip Island,
it's too easy to ride, see?
Yeah, he just doesn't feel like he should be putting in the effort.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's the same reason I'm not a Formula 1 driver, because it's just too easy. So,
yeah, anyone can do it, can't they? I mean, you've got that power steering. It's just jump in the car and go, basically.
Like driving a van.
No issue. I say driving a Transit's probably harder. But yeah, I don't think Aprilia have turned a corner, but they're planning on a big development turnaround for 2020, a new bike and everything. So you've got to remember the person that's running Aprilia right now, the MotoGP team, used to work in Formula One. So yeah, he's not happy. And you know, in Formula One, if you want a change, you make sure you get that change and you make sure you work to get it. So he's pushing Aprilia very hard to put more funds into the whole project and to just basically scrap the bike they've got now, or the sort of ethos they've got of the bike, and go for something different. So 2020 could be a big year. And the good thing for MotoGP fans and Iannone fans is that Iannone's sticking around for 2020. So if he's got a harder bike to ride, then he could be up there fighting for podiums. And you've got to remember, Phillip Island is a very good round for Andrea Iannone. He got third place back in 2015, necking off of Valentino Rossi that year towards the end. And last year he finished on the podium for Suzuki. So, Andrea Iannone does go very well around the circuit. So it's all to play for. I don't think Aprilia have turned a corner just yet.
I'd like to know why Grant loves Iannone so much. If what you say is true.
Well, basically, he was trying to chase him down the Valencia paddock last year, and Iannone wasn't having any of it. So I don't know why. He just thinks they basically have the same personality. So I'm going to go for.
I'm sure Grant will get back in touch, and Will Kearney's been back in touch, saying, "Well done, Tom Booth Amos." #Moto3.
Yeah, I was about to get on to that. Brilliant ride from Tom Booth Amos. Best qualifying of the season, qualifying in 14th. And it was funny because I remember it came to like lap 3 or 4 and I was looking down the sidebar and I was thinking, I know this is sounding really bad and apologies to Tom Booth Amos.
Just don't. Any sentence that starts out by, I know this is sounding really bad, but...
I apologise to Tom Booth Amos, but I looked like towards the bottom of the tower, like 21st place, and I was like, I'll start at the bottom and scroll my way up, and I was like, wait a minute, where's Booth, or where's Boo, as he's abbreviated to? And I was looking up, and I got to 10th, and he's sitting in 10th. I was like, what? That's amazing. So he put in a fantastic ride, really showing the whole paddock how brilliantly talented he is. Was ahead of John McPhee at times, was ahead of lots of championship contenders, finished ahead of Tony Arbolino, who's sitting third in the championship, was ahead of Marcos Ramirez, really fighting it out, and he was one of the slowest on the straights, so he did lose out big time in the straights down Phillip Island. So if his bike had a bit more power in it, and Tom Booth Amos, you never know, he could have got the podium. He said he was aiming for it, and he was only 1.6 seconds off the win, so the podium could have been possible. But brilliant ride from Tom Booth Amos, and that is what he needs. It's confidence building, and going into the last 2 rounds of the season, if he can continue that, then there will be a ride that will open up for him. Surely there will be a ride, because Dorna want to keep him in Moto3, and the whole British fans want to keep him in Moto3. He deserves a place there, and Phillip Island proved it. Okay.
Fair enough. And we apologies for any Boo fans.
It's Halloween though.
Anyway, talking about Halloween, Paul Clark of Stopwatch Hospitality, who has hospitality suites all over the land, including Brands Hatch with a fantastic view. You can pay me later, Paul. He's been on, and he says, what about Halloween rider names like Leon has slammed the door? No. Because there's a ghost behind it, for example. Paul, you're going to have to do better than that, I'm afraid. But that does bring us maybe onto a lighter topic, a lighter question for this evening's show. What about, since it is Halloween, Halloween rider names? Can you think of any off the top of your head?
Me? Put me on the spot. This is hard.
Well, this is Paul Clark. He started it.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll get back to that.
We'll come back to that one. I mean, obviously, the one we're just talking about, Tom Boo. There we go.
There we go. We found one. There you go.
I'm pretty sure everyone thought about that.
I didn't, actually. I didn't think of that. No. Going back to what we were just talking about, Lorenzo. Charles Reynolds has been on. He says Lorenzo is definitely out. Nakagami to Repsol Honda, and Zarco to LCR. Ooh.
Good point you make there, and lots of people would agree with you. But the reason that Nakagami won't go to Repsol Honda is because of the Idemitsu sponsorship. Now, the reason they are in MotoGP and LCR is because of Nakagami, and LCR wants to keep that sponsorship there. And there's basically a deal done with LCR, Nakagami, and Idemitsu. So Nakagami won't be moving up to Repsol Honda, unfortunately. I would love to see it. Maybe one day it will happen, because getting to see another Japanese rider and Repsol Honda like Toru Ikawa, Okada, it would be great to see again. So not for next year, maybe 2021. Nakagami's a great rider, and I reckon next year will be another good year for him. But if there's anyone going to replace Lorenzo, it will most likely be Zarco.
Have we decided that? Is that definitely a thing now? Is that a Motorsport Radio exclusive? You heard it here first, kids.
Why not?
Yeah,
we'll go for that. I will be working on something to sort of look at the permutations.
Another Lorenzo slam article by Liam Hittins.
I never slammed Lorenzo.
Much.
Put out a video a while ago just looking at where it went wrong. And just tracing it back all the way to 2015.
He probably watched that, and that destroyed his confidence for the rest of the season. Didn't.
I'm sure a big 5-time world champion just listened to some sort of Scottish nothing. Maybe, who knows? Maybe.
It's the internet. Maybe just wants, anything could happen.
Maybe he hasn't watched it yet. He will watch it, and he wants to prove me wrong. And then
maybe someone will send him the link of you slagging him off. But
oh, no.
No, sorry, it was not you slagging him off. It's just you pointing out all the little intricacies of where he went wrong. Anyway,
well, yeah.
Jack Wilmot's tuned in and has said hello. How are we? We're good, Jack. We're not been disturbed by them trick or them treaters yet, which is good. But yeah, if you are tuned in, listening live, then get in touch. A big hello to Mr. Kim Hollings as well of AJK TV, who is just tuned in, and also we got Liam's brother tuned in as well, who's more than likely in the next room.
No, that's the other one.
Oh, right, sorry, okay.
Yeah, the other one's just playing the PlayStation, shouting and screaming. I can hear him every so often. He's playing some sort of zombie game. Don't know why.
Enough. So that's usually the cause of Liam's dodgy internet. Is that because someone next door is downloading you know what? Yeah,
and just knocking over the router because he's getting scared of zombies.
Yeah, that. Should we move on?
Yeah. Let's do that.
I'm trying to. I've got like 10 PCs all around me here, and I'm trying. So if I'm not. Sorry, yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. So Moto 3 then, have we talked about absolutely everything? What are the just trying to have a look at the points actually. Moto 3.
Well, yeah, we've got Lorenzo Dalla Porta wrapping up the title in Phillip Island, and Matt Burt, the World Free commentator for Dorna, put out a very interesting tweet, and basically he put out Dalla Porta's points over the 3 rounds, Canet and Arbolino's over Thailand, Japan and Australia. And Dalla Porta has picked up 70 points in those 3 rounds, so 2 wins in a second. Adam Canet, who was only 2 points behind Dalla Porta going into those 3 rounds, has scored nothing. No points. Nil points, as you say, over those 3 rounds. And Arbolino's only scored 13. So the Asian leg of this tour, of this championship, has really, really blown the Moto3 championship, or sort of really dimmed it, which is a bit of a shame. And Dalla Porta has really come out on top of that. So that's basically where we'll look back in the years to come and go, the 2019 Moto3 World Championship, that's where it was really won and lost, was over those 3 rounds. So a shame for Canet for the first season with Max Biaggi's team. Great ride, great season. But unfortunately where it counted, he just slipped up a little bit. We talked about in last week's show where in Japan, you could just really see him pushing a lot going into the corner, a bit too much. And he just ran wide a little bit, tucked the front, and that was big points he lost at Japan before he obviously fell off at turn number 1 in Australia last weekend. So Arbolino's not been having a good couple of rounds as of late. Marcos Ramirez is now creeping up on them for 2nd and 3rd. And John McPhee is still in 5th place in the championship. He's just getting these top 5s, top 6s, closing the gap up little by little. I think he's 18 points off Marcos Ramirez in 4th right now, and he's less than 20 points off of Arbolino in 3rd. So a couple of good rounds for John McPhee in Malaysia, and Valencia could potentially end up top 3 in the championship this season, which would be brilliant for the first year with the Spain international team, and of course John McPhee going forward into 2020.
I was going to just mention John McPhee next, actually. Question: has he performed as good as we would, as Brits, want him to have performed at this stage in the season, or could he have done better?
I mean, there's always room for improvement, and that's where you always build. But John McPhee's been one of the most consistent riders in the second half of the season, and he's been top 5 material the whole season, especially since round 4. We really clicked with the team in the bike and have just kept improving. So without a couple of little errors, some of it not his fault. For example, Thailand, when he was completely wiped out by, Binder wiped out Canet and in turn wiped out John McPhee and Tatsuki Suzuki. So without that, it'd be a lot closer. There's definitely more wins and podiums in him. And next year is the big year for John McPhee. 2020, he will be sticking with the same team for the first time since I'm going to have to go back to 2013, 2014 when he stuck with the same team.
How old is he now?
So a long time ago.
Must be knocking on 30 or something now. He's kind of getting on a bit.
Yeah, he's 25. So next, if he decides to stick on a Moto3 for 2021, that'll be his last season, because in Moto3 you can't go past 27. yeah, he's coming on a wee bit, but he's catching up with you, Lester, and catching up with me as well. But he'll be overtaking me pretty soon, thankfully. So yeah, John McPhee looking positive for 2020, because he will be sticking with the same team, and more importantly, the same bike. So even when he's stuck with the same team for a couple of seasons, they have gone from either KTM to Honda or Honda to KTM. But this time he'll be sticking with Honda, which will definitely help him a lot.
Okay. We were talking briefly about Moto2. I can't remember if we'd finished talking about that or not.
Yeah, there wasn't too much to talk about Moto2. Obviously, the championship battle has now been blown wide open. Unfortunately, Luca Marini got wiped out by Iker Lecuona. To be fair, very lucky for Alex Marquez. If Alex Marquez didn't make that move and Marini going into the Honda hairpin on lap 1, he would have been wiped out, and that would have just made the chance of the championship for Lutti and Binder look like a much better prospect than it already is. So yeah, he got wiped out, and unfortunately Jorge Navarro, he's dropped back to Jorge Navarro's just round thereabouts, and Augusto Fernandez had a horrible round, finished outside the points, was nowhere all weekend. He's 50 points behind Alex Marquez now, which means that he scored two race wins this season. Marquez has scored 5, 50 points still to play for. So Augusto Fernandez will not be champion in 2019, depending on what happens.
Interesting. Okay. I might get to something that we've, I think, usually neglected on this show for the past however many shows we've done, is predictions. I might get to some of those later, if I remember. Yeah. That's probably why I forgot. To be honest.
Sounds good.
Right, I'll make a note. Predictions for the next race, who might do what, etc. And also, you get your predictions then if you tuned in listening live. Okay, at this point in the season then, I'm just having a quick look at the championship. Sam Lowes having drifting around in 15th place in the standings at the moment. Same question for you about Sam Lowes that I asked about John McPhee.
Yeah, season has not been good to Sam Lowes, unfortunately. Quite a lot of crashes. He has picked it up ever since he was announced he will be signing, he has signed for Mark VDS in 2020, which is something he really needs. Unfortunately, ever since the Aprilia MotoGP season, his confidence in himself just seems to have dwindled. And we know both of those twins, Alex and World Sperbikes, and of course Sam. It's hard to match them, but if you're having a season the way Sam is having, and the way 2018 went, and the way that Aprilia just made him feel like an outsider, then it's going to play on his confidence. He's been doing a lot better since the summer break has come to an end. The second half of the season's been a much better time for Sam Lowes. Picked up some top fives, but he was a championship contender a few years ago, race winner in Moto2, and of course a World Supersport champion. So we are expecting him to be a contender for podiums more frequently. Unfortunately, it's not gone the way it has done this season. At Phillip Island, it was a bit of an error on his part where he, and I think it was an FP2, it was FP2, came onto home straight right at the end of the session and trying to get himself out of having to go through qualifying one, basically cut in front of Stefano Manzi and clipped him, nearly knocking Manzi off, so he got put to the back of the grid for the race. He did recover to finish within just outside the top 20, but nonetheless, 2 rounds to go. He has been doing better since the summer break, so we could still see some good riding from Sam Lowes, and he is good at Malaysia and Valencia, as we have seen in the past. So anything can happen, and he will need some strong results going into 2020. I believe 2020 will be a lot better for him because he's in Mark VDS. They know how to make world champions, and they will mold the team around him, and they'll just build his confidence back up and make him believe in himself a lot more again.
Okay, fair enough. That's a comprehensive answer to my question. And it is a bit of a shame, is it not, to see him struggle as much as he has.
Yeah.
He would probably be the first, not that I want to put words in his mouth, but I'd imagine he'd be the first person to say that his season has not been as good as he wanted it to be, just as anybody down in 15th place in a championship would also say. Like you just said, Liam, we want Sam to do the best he can possibly do, especially in the remaining races. So yeah, if you've got any other thoughts though, other than what we've said, then let us know. If you're listening live, or if you've downloaded this show via Spotify or Apple Podcast or Stitcher or Spreaker or just watched us.
You're just making these up now.
No, these are actual platforms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, these are actual things that we stream on and publish our wares. Kids will know about these sorts of things. If you've downloaded our shows, then you can still get in touch with us, because we do like to read your comments, even if it's after the fact as well. Or we like reading them out because they're better. Live on the show. It is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. Hello and good evening. Liam is here. And next, we'll be talking about World Superbikes.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Hey! Can give you a big update that I know loads of people have been wanting an update on regarding the Motorsport Awards. Well, the nominations phase now, Liam, has closed. Ooh. Indeed.
Do tell.
Yes, well, the nominations phase, Motorsport Awards, happens in 2 parts. The nominations for your various rider, Young Rider of the Year, Championship of the Year, etc., was open from October to basically 8 p.m. Today on the Halloween, 31st of October. So all the nominations are now closed. I will go through them and figure out who made the final shortlist over the weekend, and we will publish the final shortlist next week. So, who might, just out of the top of your head, Liam, you don't have to say who you voted for. I know you did vote. But I didn't vote for anyone, by the way. And I can say that because I don't want to, because they are our awards. The motorsportawards.com, keep your eye on that. We'll be sending out a big mailing list early next week as to the places where you can vote for the winner of said awards, and that will be we're expecting a lot of social media activity on that, because it might throw up some unexpected names, people who were nominated, or the people you might have thought might have been nominated but weren't. Off the top of your head, Liam, can you think of anyone potentially deserving of a Rider of the Year?
Yeah, I can think of lots of names, and I'm not going to tell you any of them.
Go on, just pick two.
Just pick one. Just pick two. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's
you don't have to tell us who you voted for, but just I don't know. Just
okay,
just
right. So obviously you've got to have to go for Marc Marquez in MotoGP because, well, why wouldn't you? The way he's been going in 2019, either winning or coming second, easy peasy for someone to vote for them. Or if you want to go for someone, let's say Brandon Pash in the Hell Performance Motorstar class. So another one. Or how about Evan Belford in the Mini GP70s, the Cool Fab Racing. I know you asked for two, but I'm just going to give you three because
okay, fair enough.
I like to give you a podium. Okay, so yeah, there's three riders that you could go for.
Okay, well there are categories. Just not read them all out because there are a lot of categories. But you could have nominated, and thank you to everybody who did take the time out to nominate their various people or championships or bikes or whatever. Nominations included Young Rider of the Year, of course, Rider of the Year, Moment of the Year, and that could literally be anything. Marshal/Official of the Year, anyone done a particularly good job. Anyone, I was thinking particularly of the young flag waver at BSB, Josh, I think his name is. Anyway, no, that was one name that I thought.
I wonder if anyone voted for the sort of the Japanese marshals from MotoGP last weekend, because did you see the stunt they pulled, the sort of with the safety car driving around? I wonder if anyone picked them, because that was quite cool to watch. Or what about the guy that waves the flag during the Japanese Grand Prix? He's always in a suit, but he's always got rider gloves on, which is always great. So he always puts 110% into his flag waving. So he might be someone that someone goes for.
Okay, well, I really can't reveal who did what, mostly because I don't know. I've not logged in for a good few hours. But best championship, the Racing Club of the Year, and if it's not MSV, I will be shocked. But it might not be. So best new championship or series. I don't think there's been many new bike championships or series this year in motorcycle racing, has there? I can't remember.
Not that I can think of.
Okay, so maybe that might go to a car thing. Commentator of the Year. I know for a fact this was a hotly contested award last year in the Motorsport Awards, the official Motorsport Awards, and judging by the amount of nominations, it is going to be again. So tune in early next week for the final shortlist of whom you can vote for to win a Motorsport Award. Do we think Fred Clark, maybe? Obviously.
Yeah, it's got to be Fred Clark. Or what about Jack Burnicle?
Possibly.
It could be him.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Keith Ewan fans out there as well.
Hi, Kiko. And we had Image of the Year. A lot of people were nominating and submitting spectacular bike images. And TV production company as well. Well, we know Eurosport and that drone that they used this year, incredible. They've used it in previous years, but wow, yeah, just some amazing.
It was pretty impressive this year.
Best race/road circuit, obviously, things like the TT and TT and Cadwell.
You know what? Not
maybe
Cadwell. Northwest 200.
And Unsung Hero, well, that literally could be absolutely anybody for any reason whatsoever. Lifetime Achievement Award, again, could be anybody, but the nominations are now closed, so none of that matters. You cannot nominate anybody else. We were just teasing you. But they are now actually closed. Find out who did make the final shortlist. Head over early next week to either motorsport.radio or the Motorsport or motorsportawards.com. They are the official Motorsport Awards, and they are exclusively here on Motorsport Radio. Not bad, Alien.
Not bad at all. Pretty good. Looking forward to seeing what everyone voted for.
Yeah, and I could see us having maybe a special debate show. But about them. Anyway, moving on.
That'd be good, actually.
Potentially, I don't know. I suspect feelings might get hurt at why has he been nominated? Well, surely he should be, and he shouldn't be nominated. He's crap. Anyway, something along those lines. Anyway, moving on, because we are talking about the racing, and World Superbikes, and we mentioned it at the start of the show, Liam. That I thought that Haslam going to joining Bautista was kind of a done deal. Another journalist talking about it as though it is, and maybe it is, but not officially, not yet.
Yeah, nothing is signed, sealed, and delivered until it's posted up on sort of the big websites like Motorsport Radio, of course. We haven't posted it yet, so it's not. Surely can't be true. But yeah, it's a bit like the Bautista to the Honda. Everyone's like, I'm pretty sure that's confirmed already. It wasn't confirmed until, obviously, Honda came out and Bautista came out and said it. Haslam hasn't been out to say anything yet. Honda's not come out to say anything yet. So, it's not a done deal just yet.
Well, only last week on the show. We were sort of, I was anyway, sort of teasing the fact that maybe Haslam had an option to go back to BSB and maybe at Paul Bird.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agreed with you in that one. I certainly was sort of swinging more towards it as well. And I think it was the day after we'd done the show, because we'd done the show Tuesday last week, and I think it was either a day or two afterwards that this story came out that Haslam was potentially going to partner Bautista at Honda for next season, which is a great move for both, because Leon Haslam's a very experienced rider, got a lot of can give the team a lot of feedback. Honda's a new bike, so they will be needing as much as they can. Hey, and obviously, Leon Haslam has spent a year at Kawasaki with Jonathan Ray, so any insight they can bring from that side, then that'll be very handy indeed for Honda. And obviously, you've got Bautista coming from Ducati, so the best two bikes and best two teams, rider from each of them. Dream team, potentially. So yeah, it's not been announced or confirmed yet, but a lot of journalists within the know have said it's a done deal. So we could be getting an announcement very soon. There's the 77th edition of the International Motorcycle Exhibition in Milan. That'll be going from the 5th of November to the 10th. And World Superbike website has been saying that we could be expecting a lot of rider announcements at that next week. So potentially the Haslam to Honda one could be announced there at Milan next week.
Is that what that acronym stood for? I was just on the World Superbike website earlier, and it he said more rider announcements set to be done at EICMA.
Yeah, I was like, what's that?
Oh, you mean Motorcycle Live? Maybe not.
But it's in Milan, this one.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, Milan. So, yeah, it's really exciting, and World Superbikes 2020 is shaping up really nicely. I think there's a lot of rider changes. Obviously, Bautista's going to Honda. We've got Redding coming into Ducati. We've got Leon Camio going off to Barney Ducati. There's a lot going on for 2020. We should have a lot of good bikes for next season. And fingers crossed, Jonathan Ray doesn't have it all his own way, and he might get challenged a little bit for his 6th world title.
Well, he didn't.
We all hope it does happen.
Did it? I mean, we saw Bautista crumble mentally mid-season, didn't we? And that's kind of all it was, because it wasn't really the bike performance as much. He might like to sort of push some of the blame towards the bike, etc., but it wasn't. It was all him. He kind of crumbled and gave it to Ray. Basically, that's my reading of it. Am I wrong?
I mean, I'd say you are a little bit wrong for the fact that...
Go on.
Yeah. I mean, Ray wasn't there to just take it. He pushed hard. Now, every time Bautista won a race, Ray was second, but he was the only rider getting close to Bautista. So having that sort of a little annoying thing just there, constantly just nipping away, it just gets to you. It's one of those...
I wouldn't call Ray
a
little annoying thing, but I know what you mean.
Well, yeah. Well, I wouldn't call him that either, because he'd probably... beat me up or something. So, yeah.
It was an interesting psychological battle, and I think it was won partly, yes, on the track, but also maybe equally in his mind as well, and he lost. Not Ray, but yeah.
Yeah. As soon as Ray got the upper hand, mentally, absolutely, he was on a roll, and he ended up winning 17 races this season to Bautista's 16. So he nicked it at the last race of the year, the most wins. So it was a season of two halves. First half of the season, Ducati, Bautista. Second half of the season, Ray, Kawasaki. And it was interesting the middle point of the season was a really interesting part, I think. It's because you had Ray going on that roll, and you had Bautista starting to crumble, and you weren't sure which way it would go. You weren't sure if he was going to recover from it or if he was going to get worse. Unfortunately for Bautista and Ducati fans and fans of Alvaro Bautista, unfortunately went the way of him crumbling a lot more, and Jonathan Ray just came out looking rosy on the other end of it and wrapped up his 5th world title.
Could that have been a lack of experience at fighting for the championship, obviously, versus Jonathan Ray? In that Ray knows exactly what it's like to fight a second half of a season where things are getting a bit tough, you're getting a bit tired, but he knows how to pull a championship out of the bag, and that's exactly what he did. Again.
Yeah, potentially. The last time Bautista fought for a world title was back. Well, he did, and he didn't fight for the title in 2009, the 250s. He was sort of there or thereabouts, but wasn't really in contention, along with Hiro Oyama and Marco Simoncelli. But the last time he was in contention all the way through to win the title was 2006 in the 125s, which he cleared off. He ran away with that championship in that season, so that's really all he can go for. He was never in a point where he had someone of Jonathan Ray's caliber ever hounding him constantly. And not only is Jonathan Ray a 5-time World Superbike champion, in many people's eyes, he's one of the best riders in the world at the moment. And unfortunately, we can't compare him to Marc Marquez or anyone else in MotoGP. But the way he is in World Superbikes, he's just imperious. He's unstoppable for the moment. And the way Marquez is in MotoGP right now, I can't see anyone stopping him for a number of years yet. So knowing that Jonathan Ray is the one that's constantly behind you, constantly at your heels, just he knows how to win championships, then that will play in your mind, and it will potentially come down to a lack of experience being in that situation before.
That's what I said.
Maybe it's just that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you to that point.
Okay.
So it will come down to that, and for the fact that the last time you were there, you were clearing off with the championship back in the 125 days.
So, potentially, if anybody, I'm going to make a bit of a very, very early prediction. If anybody can match Jonathan Ray, providing that things are well at Kawasaki, Ray has no issues physically, and let's just say it was 2019 again, but the person he was fighting with in the championship wasn't Bautista, it was actually Scott Redding. And I think, actually, this is my prediction, we will see this next year.
Yeah, I think you're on the ball there with that one. And I don't think you're the only one thinking that. Scott Redding, I think, will have a bit more of a mental toughness or more of a steel about him to not crumble the same way Bautista did. And I think the reason that Redding will have that is because of the sort of adversity he's gone through the last few years, where he had a tough time at Aprilia back in 2018. They didn't want him, so he basically just felt unloved. He wanted to quit the sport. Basically, he's now built himself back up. Went to BSB, built himself back up, and now look at him. Unfortunately, missed out in the championship in Moto2 back in 2013, and he's basically ridden with bikes that haven't really suited him in his whole MotoGP career. The time at Pramac Ducati, it was a little bit better for him. He got a couple of podiums. He was thereabouts. He unfortunately did get beat by Petrucci. But Scott Redding, yes, I feel like he'll have a bit more in hand than what Bautista did. And I feel like that Ducati is a bit better for someone that is a little bit bigger. Bautista's quite small. And it really looks like that Ducati really needs to be muscled about. I could be wrong, because I've never ridden that Ducati before, but just the way it sort of handles and looks, it does look like it needs to be muscled around a little bit. And a taller rider like Scott Redding could be the one to do that.
Okay. If you disagree with what Liam has said or anything that I've said, you probably do, because... Anyway, then get in touch. It's at Motorsport Radio on Facebook and Twitter. Motorsport Radio on Facebook and Twitter. If you repeat it, Liam, then it's more memorable.
Yeah, it's easier to remember than M Sport Radio.
What?
Which it used to be.
No, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know, I forgot. Because it's all Motorsport Radio now on Facebook and Twitter. And Motorsport.radio, Liam, is the place to go to check out latest opinion articles and opinion videos as well, and occasional audio downloads by the likes of Mr. Liam Hodgins as well, who's working on the next article about or video report on what?
Yeah, so basically, I will be looking at where or what could happen in terms of the Repsol Honda thing. This is going to be a wee fun video. I'm also going to be making one. I've kind of started it. Predictions for 2021 in MotoGP, because everyone enjoys a bit of a predictions video. Everyone enjoys to think about what can happen for 2021, because no one is signed up. Well, Tito Rabat is. That's about it. But everyone else is out of contract at the end of next year. So it could be a big shake-up in 2021. We're going to see some retirements. I'm not going to say who is going to retire, but we will see some retirements, most likely, in 2021. And we're going to have people coming up from Moto 2, potentially some from Moto 3. So you never know, but it's going to be a bit of fun. So that's something I'm going to be working on.
Okay.
It's just a bit of fun.
Just a bit of fun, unless you disagree with him, in which case, delete your account, Liam. Outrageous. So just going back to World Superbikes before we move on to other matters. Alex Lowe's, I'd say narrowly getting third place in the championship. Good season for him. Yeah,
it's kind of gone under the radar, hasn't it, to most people? Obviously, the fight at the front between Bautista and Ray was what captured most of the season, and then you had Michael van der Mark, his teammate, picking up some strong points, winning a race, scoring podiums, and then you've had that crash and before Magny-Cours, which put him out for a round. So Lowe's got the points, and then you had Toprak, Razgatlioglu, going in a run of form, picking up podiums, going to race wins. So Alex Lowe's was always there or thereabouts within the top 5, but since he was there and not winning races, for example, he kind of got forgotten about. So him picking up third is a great result. And the Lowe's twins have always been renowned for crashing, but Alex stopped that at the start of last season, and he's taken that into this year, and it's really just helped him push through. Okay, he might not have won a race this year, but he picked up third in the championship, and what that has got him...
He got 2 podiums.
Is a factory right. Yeah, he did. But did I say he didn't get any podiums? Or did I say he didn't get any wins?
You said wins.
Yeah,
he might have
so he got a couple of podiums.
I'm just counting.
But he got a few podiums. Was always there or thereabouts. He was the third most consistent. Well, I would say the second most consistent after Ray, because Bautista was either winning races or back in 9th. So he was all over the place towards the end of the season. But the thing that's really got, but the thing that he can take as the biggest positive for this season is not only did he get third, but he's now got a factory ride in the Kawasaki squad alongside Jonathan Ray, where we know the bike is more capable of winning races than the Yamaha. The Yamaha's a brilliant bike. The Crescent team, brilliant team, but it's just not quite the Kawasaki team, and the Kawasaki team can give Alex Lowe's everything he needs to challenge for race wins, potentially a championship. I don't want to say he's going to be a championship contender just yet, because obviously he's got the most difficult teammate in the whole of World Superbikes to go up against next season, and in a team that he's been with for 6 seasons by that point. So
okay,
brilliant.
Quick question regarding just been having a quick look at some of the stats. It seemed like for the past few seasons we used to regularly, if not almost every single weekend, get a British 1, 2, 3 on the podium. And discounting, I think, the race 2, which isn't race 2, which was actually the qualifying race.
Yeah, the Super Bowl race.
Yeah, discounting that. How many times has there been a British 1, 2, 3 on the podium this season in World Superbikes?
I'm going to say 22.
No, just
final
2.
answer.
Just two. Yeah. Seriously? Just 2. Yeah, real.
Wow.
That's like the British 1, 2, and 3 on the podium, and that's only happened twice this year. The race 1 at Qatar, Ray, Chaz Davis, and Alex Lowe's, and the UK round, aka Donington, Johnny Ray, Tom Sykes, and Leon Haslam. That was. That's not including though that weird race not a race type thing, but yeah, I feel like we've had a bit more diversity in terms of podium and nationalities on the podium. Anyway, just a thought.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. I've not compared that with previous years, so I might be spectacularly wrong. Please feel free to disagree with me. Just an interesting stat. That's all.
I think you're absolutely right there, because obviously you had Alvaro Bautista on the Ducati this season from Spain. Yeah, Toprak Razgatlioglu really finding his feet in World Superbikes this season, and towards the end of the season,
he had
Melandri.
He had a couple.
Did he?
Melandri was third in Australia and
you're right. Yes,
Spanish round as well. Yeah, he got third there. Vandermark, as you said earlier, he was there a couple of times to win as well for him. Mostly the same kind of names, no massive big surprises, but it just seems like there's been a bit more diversity in the podium, I think.
It can also be looked at as Tom Sykes not being a Kawasaki anymore, moving to BMW, and that's a brand new project for this season, so it was going to be a bit more tough for him to be on the podium as consistently as he was. And Chaz Davies, he picked it up towards the end of the season, but had a nightmare for most of it. Not the Chaz Davies we've seen for the past few seasons. So, and he was always on the podium. He was the only one who could challenge Jonathan Ray for a number of seasons. So, yeah, that had a bit to play in it as well. But obviously, the fact that we've got more of a diversity within the bigger teams of more international riders, then that had a part to play in it. And it's great for the sport. It's what you want to see, because a lot of people were a bit upset that it just seemed to be Brits on the podium all the time, and it was just constantly the same sort of top 3 mainly.
Yeah, I did hear that criticism once or 1,000 times.
Yeah, so it was being criticised quite a lot, and it's good that we're having more international riders coming into World Superbikes and being able to finish in the podium, and when Ray isn't winning, managing to win some races.
Okay. I'm just thinking, no, we won't do predictions now. We'll leave that for later. Is there any other bits of news regarding World Superbikes and support categories, maybe?
Yep, so it was announced yesterday that Xavi Forés will be returning to World Superbikes with the Puchetti Kawasaki team. So the team that Toprak Razgatlioglu was racing for this season. So he'll be back in World Superbikes after his ventures to the BSB paddock this season with the Honda Fireblade bike. So it's good to see Xavi Forés is on his way back. Definitely shouldn't have been out of World Superbikes last year, but unfortunately he found himself without a ride. So he'll be in a team that's a race winner now, podium contender. So he'll be pushing up towards the front, we all hope, because he is a very exciting rider. And, well, a favourite of many in British Superbikes now, because he spent a year there. And, when you spend a bit of time in the BSB paddock, everyone does support you when you go back off to the world scene. So it'll be good to see him do well there.
They do.
They do indeed,
Lots
yeah.
of support.
An honorary Brit. So that's what Xavi Forés is. Another big announcement coming yesterday was the Catalunya will be on the 2020 calendar. So it'll be the first time the World Superbikes go to Barcelona and race at the iconic venues. So we know that MotoGP are sort of wanting to cut back in the Spanish rounds from, well, not next season, but the 2021, and get more rounds into it. The talk of the Algarve and Portimao and Portugal coming to the calendar, and of course Estoril. So they might do a bit of a swap between the Spanish round or maybe with each other over the years. So Estoril, I was always a track that I absolutely loved. So that'll be great to see back in the calendar at some point as well. Also, we've got the Kimi Ring in Finland coming in next season. Not the Kimi Räikkönen ring. But yeah, we've got the track at Lombok that's been looked at. That's been inspected.
Is that next year
by
or
Dorna
2021? Can't remember.
2021. 2021 that'll be. So yeah, not next year, but we know that MotoGP want to go a lot further afield, go to more races, go to more tracks, go further abroad. So they want to get rid of, well, not get rid, but they want to cut back in the Spanish rounds. So World Superbikes going to Barcelona is a great way for that track to still get some two-wheeled action and some brilliant two-wheeled action on the go as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Fingers crossed they use the old turn 10. I'm just hoping. I absolutely can't stand the hairpin turn 10. They currently use MotoGP and Formula 1 at the moment. So I'd like to see the good old left-hander back, the fast long one at the end of the back straight.
Left-hander.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the sweeping? Which one are you talking about again?
So the end of the back straight, it comes to that hairpin.
The triangle one.
Yeah, basically.
Right. So they go right. Yeah. So they go out and they go through. Are you talking about that?
Yeah. So the corner's just you see the corner on the outside of the corner that is now the tight left-handed hairpin, which caused a lot of accidents this season in all three classes in MotoGP, and the old one.
Oh, it's a lot tighter, isn't it? And it used to be like
it's a lot tighter.
Right.
Yeah, a much nicer corner. And the only reason they can't use it is because the gravel trap isn't big enough, because they've got that silly dinky chicane on the other side, which Formula 1 seems to be adamant they need to use, which they don't because it's Formula 1. And they race on street circuits which go through faster corners than that.
Plus the paddock is like there as well, I think.
Yes, but that's probably why they don't use it. Okay, just forget what I'm saying then. Moving on. Good point.
It's not the 90s anymore, Liam. Get over it.
It was the 2010s. I want to get over. I can't get over that either. Moving back to some news. Randy Krummenacher, it's been confirmed today that he will defend his World Supersport title with the MV Agusta Reparto Corsa squad. So he'll be back in World Supersport action next season. And it'll be good to see him on the MV Agusta, a very nice sounding bike. So yeah, he's going away from the Yamaha, the Barney Yamaha that he won his title with this season, going to MV Agusta. Now, part of me is wondering if the reason that he's left that squad is because the way he criticised them in Argentina.
Might have something to do with it.
Yeah, he was saying that they're sort of favouring Caricasulo.
Oh.
No, not shit. Because they're going to be shit when they're first and second in the championship.
Riders say all sorts of things, don't they?
Yeah, saying that his engine wasn't as powerful as his teammates. So I'm wondering if there was a bit of a fallout there, and that sort of made him have to sort of walk out the door. But then again, he does take the number one plate to another team, so at least he wrapped up the championship in 2019.
Fair enough.
So he can be happy about that. But it'll be good to see him. The MV Agusta in the hands of De Rosa has been brilliant this season. I mean, it's not been on par with the Yamaha, but what De Rosa has done this season has been outstanding. So with someone of Krummenacher's caliber, now a champion, bit of weight off his shoulder, lots of confidence going into next season. Hey, who knows what's going to happen with the MV Agusta?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm just thinking of how to phrase the next question. Who, for you, from either World Supersport or World Superbikes, did an exceptional job, better than what probably everybody else predicted? Obviously, Ray aside, because you'd expect him to be up there. Bautista aside, because again, But for you, if you compare your thoughts, and especially if you tuned in listening live, tell us what you thought as well, because we want to know, because we know it. But question to you, Liam, who out of either Supersport or World Superbikes totally surprised and excelled and was like, oh my God, yes?
That's a tough one.
Anyone? Did anyone surprise? Was everyone just as good as you thought they would be pre-season?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
There wasn't. I could be wrong in this one, but there was no one that really stood out for me. Like, just was like, whoa, where have you come from?
Because I know
Toprak, maybe.
I don't know. A lot of people predicted him. I know for the past couple of seasons. I mean, last year, if anything, he underperformed. But this year...
It was his first season, so it was tough. So, yeah, Toprak you can maybe say, but then again...
Well, what about...
He was doing really well last season.
What about a different question, then? I don't like to ask negative sort of questions. You know me, Lee.
Yeah.
But who didn't do as well? And I'm thinking of one particular name in particular, but I'll let you answer just to make sure it coincides with...
What, Ryuichi Kiyanari? Is that what you're thinking of? He's one of them.
I was thinking of Haslam.
Haslam, no, because yes and no. It was his first year back in World Superbikes for a number of years since 2014 with the Pirelli squad. So it'll be tough for him to get back on top of how he was back then.
Let's be very honest. As amazing as Haslam is as a rider, still, he could have done better.
Yeah, even Jonathan Ray could have said he could have done better at certain stages throughout the year. But I would say Chaz Davies was a bigger surprise for me, personally. Then you've got Marcus Reuterberger, who was Tom Sykes' teammate. And
he was
we expected him
14th in the championship down in the...
Yeah, but everyone expected him to be a lot higher up and challenging Tom Sykes. But it was fair enough. I would unfortunately say Chaz Davies. But then you could have kind of predicted it with the way, with the injuries he's carrying coming into the season. So, but then you thought, Chaz Davies, he's carried many injuries before and he's been on it right from the word go. But he struggled to adapt from the V twin to the V4 Ducati. He eventually kind of got there towards the end of the season. Obviously picked up the win at Laguna Seca in race number 2. So I'd put down Chaz Davies, unfortunately. Even though I don't want to put him down, but he was the biggest surprise for me.
Okay. Just simply, and I asked that question just because we couldn't think of anyone who outperformed, who had like a massive standout season in either category, which potentially might say a lot. But there again, if you're tuned in listening live or as a download, you might have a name in mind. If so, tell us. Matty Fitch has been in touch and agrees with me when I said about Reading for next year. He will be in for a good shout next year in World Superbikes. So thank you, Matty.
Yeah, the only thing that could go against Reading is
his
and
attitude.
I know we said, no, I wasn't going to say that at all. That's you saying that, Lester, not me.
Oh, don't put words in my mouth.
You put words in my mouth. What was I saying? The only thing that could go against Reading, and I know we said that at the start of the season for BSB, is he knows a lot of the circuits in World Superbikes. Of course he does. But some of them you won't know, like Portimao and, of course, Argentina. They're the little things that may go against him. And I know we said that about BSB, but BSB and World Superbikes are completely different games. I know they're both superbikes, but they've got different technical regulations and specifications. So it might go against him very slightly. I'm not going to say it's going to go against him completely, and I'm not going to say he's going to take to like a duck to water because we don't know. But in a world-class field like World Superbikes, it might just be a little bit more tough for him, and that might go against him very slightly.
Okay, fair enough. Any other bits of stuff to mention regarding... I think that's it, really. There's kind of been nothing, really. We should also congratulate Mr. Jonathan Ray again. I know we did on last week's show. But going back to the Motorsport Awards, obviously, he'd be in contention, you'd think, for Rider of the Year. But has he made the shortlist? That would be a shock if he didn't make the shortlist.
Yeah, it'd be more of a shock than him not winning the Sports Personality of the Year.
So you'll have to find out early next week when the shortlists of whom has made it through to the final of the Motorsport Awards for 2019. Head over to motorsportawards.com or check them out right here at motorsport.radio. Right, moving on. Any BSB news? Yes, there is. Liam, BSB news.
Yes, so Josh Owens, he'll be in BSB next season, British Superbikes, which will be brilliant because he's announced that he's going to be having a full season with Dean Hippel's CDH racing team. So yeah, Dean Hipwell announced that he's sort of stepping back from racing. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was, I think it was the day after Brands, I think, due to his ongoing issues, let's say, I think.
But it's good that the team will continue, and Josh Owens will be part of that. So Josh Owens is definitely an exciting talent to watch, and BSB seems to be changing quite a lot now. The sort of the old established stars seem to be kind of on the way out, and there's a young group of talented riders coming through. So obviously we've got Danny Buck, and he's still really young compared to what we think he is. Taz McKenzie. We've also got Joe Francis as well. I was going to mention Ben Curry, but we can't mention Ben Curry.
You might be. You don't know what the future might be. Maybe for next year.
Well, I mean, we will. It kind of brings us potential into another bit.
Ryan Vickers as well. He's still knocking about.
Ryan Vickers, absolutely, yeah. So great. I know some people disagree, but I think he had a brilliant, fantastic rookie season.
From 600 to BSB, yes, he did. If you compare it to that, where say other people would have had a lot more experience, might have waited an extra few years to just dive into BSB, and he didn't show himself up. Yes, he had a couple of really big crashes, one in particular at Brands, I think mid-season, but he bounced back literally, and didn't disgrace himself. So yeah, Ryan Vickers definitely.
The good thing about his crashes is that it didn't seem to faze him. He just came back and just kept pushing harder and harder and harder, and it was a building year. We didn't expect him to do what he done. He actually exceeded my expectations and a lot of people's as well. So it was a building year. 2020, it's much, much more prosperous year for Ryan Vickers. So yeah, as I was saying, there's a sort of change of the guard going on in BSB right now, where the old established stars are moving out. Josh Brooks will be, well, I think he'll be the oldest one in the grid next year. I could be wrong about that, but he'll be up there. And we know that he's going to be in championship contention, but he's going to have a lot of young riders nipping at his heels for next season. Did mention Ben Curry a little bit. He's a rider that, unfortunately, injury plagued him for most of the season, and he really did struggle with the Kawasaki. As a lot of people,
he did actually show quite a bit of performance in the second half of the season. He did, I would say. Whether he was still carrying that injury, I think from Alton Park, where he had that massive off. It certainly didn't show on track anyway, and he did put in some decent performances towards the end.
He did indeed, and considering that, unfortunately, his teammate at the start of the season, Glenn Irwin, didn't really do too well, and then Hector Barbara was also struggling. Then Ben Curry didn't do himself a disgrace at all within the Bournemouth Kawasaki squad. But he's now going back to not World Super Sport, but British Super Sport in 2020 with the GearLink Kawasaki squad, which we know that he was challenging for the championship in 2018 against Jack Kennedy. So won a lot of races with the GearLink Kawasaki squad, which is good because it's a squad that he knows. I'm a little bit sad that he's going to British Super Sport. I think it would be good if he stayed in BSB. If he changed team, then yeah, so be it.
But where would he go though?
Paul Bird Motorsport. Could have went there. And
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that he's going back to British Super Sport. But then again, now that Jack Kennedy's moving up to BSB, got Ben Curry moving back down there, so it just means that we've got a good star back in, still in the BSS championship. So yeah, got there eventually. And he's going to be partnering James Westmoreland in the GearLink Kawasaki squad. So James Westmoreland only done the last couple of rounds and was a star of the last couple of rounds indeed. Picked up a few podiums. So I don't want to predict this too early, but can definitely see them going head to head against each other for some outrageously good battles.
I think I mentioned on last week's show, but just because someone starts the season with one particular team, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will be in that same team for whatever reason, mid-season or towards the end, because other opportunities might come around in BSB for Ben to go back into. I know he's quite loyal to people who support him, so maybe he might stay at Gearlink, but maybe, I don't know, some other opportunity, usually through injury, let's be honest, might come up in BSB, and he might actually be back at some point. But we'll just wait and see, and not wish anybody any injuries at all. A couple of comments have come in. Jay King's still tuned in. Hello. He says, this is going back to World Superbikes, the conversation that we was having earlier. For him, the surprise was when we were talking about like who I think outperformed or underperformed, that sort of thing. The surprise was that Bautista didn't win the championship after the first half of the season. He bottled it. Jay, you've been literally taking the words out of my mouth. That's kind of what I said. That says Jay King. Brandon Perrell's been on as well. Adversary of Jay King on track at the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship, and third place in the Extreme 200 class, if my memory serves me correctly.
You're correct.
Who celebrated like a champion. He's been on, and he says Brooks for the championship next year, BSB, talking about there. Well, yeah, why not? I mean, at this stage, with Reading gone, you'd probably have to say him, or if Bridewell can have another steady season, maybe them again. Maybe it's a Brooks and Bridewell for the top, or whomever, on that second Paul Bird bike.
Yes, Bridewell I've been really surprised at this year, and Bridewell's always a safe pair of hands. Yeah, in a very good way indeed, and I don't think I predicted him for a top six, and I've always been a fan of Bridewell. I think he's a great rider, great person as well. Bumped into him in the paddock a few times at Knockhill. Always seems very chatty, very nice guy. And I was pleasantly surprised by Tommy Bridewell this season. And I know he only got one race win, but he was always there fighting for the podiums. Arguably, he could have got more race wins because he did make a couple of mistakes when he was leading races. Sometimes the bike let him down. But that team will only go from strength to strength for 2020. And I think he'll take a lot of confidence. And I think he should take a lot of confidence into 2020 after the season he had. He only got beat by the Paul Bird Motorsport riders of Reading and Brooks. And there are no slouches. We know Josh Brooks is a British champion, and now Scott Reading is. And Paul Bird has been around for a number of years, for a long, long time, and won lots of championships with lots of riders. He's had a team in World Superbikes and had a team in MotoGP. So no slouch at all. So Tommy Bridewell and the Oxford Ducati squad have done a fantastic job this season, and could definitely be, I wouldn't say a dark horse, but could be the ones to go for it properly again next season and challenge Brooks for the title.
I'm just trying to have a think, and I don't know, genuinely don't know, so maybe someone else listening does know something that I don't, but I don't know, other than like sponsors and that sort of thing, what would be changing in terms of bikes and stuff for next year, in terms of the actual like mechanics of it. So presuming that they'd both be on the same bikes, and again, I don't know.
Yeah, they will be. The only difference
literally
is
the actual same bikes.
The actual same bikes they took in from next year.
Maybe.
I can't think the Ducati will be changing too much. So I can imagine they will keep the same bikes and just make improvements on it.
I can't think of any other reason why it wouldn't be Bridewell and Brooks fighting at the top of BSB next year. But I don't know. Can you?
Well, I completely agree. Danny Buchan is one to look out for because although he's still with the FS3 squad, they're now becoming the factory Kawasaki. Yeah, the official. That factory is just the word I keep using, but official Kawasaki team for next season. So that'll give the team a bit more of a boost. Kawasaki they're really invested in British Superbikes, so you can imagine they'll have a few good engineers down there for just helping the team out, suspension people as well. So it'll be Danny Buchan. He's if there's one big surprise of 2019, it's got to be Danny Buchan. And just the way that he's nearly been out of racing because he's coming to BSB. It's not worked for him, so he's gone back down to super stock. Won that again, come back up. And I think he basically just said to himself, or said that this will be the year. If it doesn't happen for him, he might just sort of call it quits. But thankfully, 4th in the championship, the top non-Ducati rider, and now the team is going to be the official Kawasaki squad. So that's another rider to look out for.
And his
Yamaha
and his future teammate as well. Don't forget, it was Lee Jackson. Is that?
Yeah. Lee Bob Jackson.
Yeah.
So
what could he do?
Yeah, absolutely. That team's looking really good for next season, and I can't wait for it to start already. Lee Bob Jackson racing in Super Stock 1000s this in 2019. So yeah, and we've also got to look out for what can Yamaha do next year, because they're keeping O'Halloran and Taz McKenzie.
Oh yes.
I think I predicted O'Halloran for the championship this year, and unfortunately didn't even make the top 6, which I've got egg all over my face for that one. But the way he went in testing, it looked like he was looking very good.
He finished 10th in the championship.
Yeah, so, he did. Okay. Let's not talk about that. Taz McKenzie did finish 5th. Nearly done the double at Silverstone until he knocked off his teammate O'Halloran in the last lap in race 1, but won race 2. So if they can sort it out a little bit better for next year, they could be up there. So it's tough to call because BSB changes from season to season. The only thing we can predict is that Paulburn Motorsport will be up at the top and definitely one of the toughest team to beat.
Okay. Views of Liam Hodgins there. If you disagree with anything that he said, then do get in touch. If you've got your own views about who will be at the top, literally, in BSB next year, or potentially one to watch. I've already mentioned the likes of, and I suppose we can add Tara McKenzie to that, a bit more of a known quantity than Ryan Vickers was this year, but still, and even you probably bunched Danny Buchan in there with McKenzie and Ryan Vickers. But yeah, I'd be surprised personally if we do see, and I would like to see the likes of Claudio Corti back in BSB, but he hasn't indicated that he will be back. The team we had Brent Gladwin from GR Motorsport Team WD-40 on the show a couple of weeks ago, saying that he would very much like to keep the remaining rider or the riders that he had this year going into next year. So Emily Latte, Storm Stacey, who was out testing on a stock 1000 bike today at Donington, and Claudio Corti, who did his best throughout the season, and Brent was telling us that he was struggling with various, I think it was a shoulder injury for most of the season, and finished 20th in the championship. I'm sure he thinks that he could have done better, and it would have been nice for him to see him further up on that WD-40 bike. But let's just say, in a world where he doesn't return, who do we see anyone potentially for that sort of midfield pack of riders, going from like Dan Linfoot in 14th all the way down to like Ben Curry in 25th? That title, well, it was such a close pack anyway in BSB this year. But the people who would usually sort of midfield, and I'd take Brad Ray out of that just because he's performed previously as though he's not a midfielder, even though he was a midfielder this year. But do you know what I'm trying to say? Who might be basically like ones to watch out for? We've already named the big names, but who might sort of outperform people or bikes that were midfield this year, next year?
It took a long time to get to that one.
Sorry,
I
didn't have it pre-formed in my head. But you know, anyway, that's my question. Go on.
Yeah. There's a couple of names I can think of. Joe Francis, he's getting stronger every year. He's one to look out for. look mossy. You just always feel that he should be further up the front, but ever since that injury picked up, 2017 he was leading the championship at one point, and then 2018, he had a bit of an injury that carried through into 2018. So I don't know if he's fully over that yet. Hopefully he does get over it because he's an outstanding rider. So that's someone who should be near the front. Josh Elliott. We had him on the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah, do you see him back on a bike?
Well, surely he should be back on a bike. He's too good not to be back on a bike. He needs to still be in the BSB Championship. And if he doesn't get a bike, I'm sure he'll be snapped up by someone in stock thousands. But he's a BSB winner now. So you don't really want to see a BSB winner dropping back down to stock thousands when he's still got more to prove. You know that Josh Elliott can be a podium contender and a race winner when the bike and the track come together. So he's another one.
Would we see
Dan Lindfoot should be further up because of his pedigree and what he's done in the past. Just don't know if him and the bike just didn't gel, but Dan Lindfoot should be a lot higher up.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But and I think I already know the answer to this, but do we think we would ever see Danny Kent back in BSB?
I'm going to say this right now. No. I don't know.
I'm so surprised.
Oh, would you say yes?
No. I'm just asking the question. That's all I'm. I don't know.
I don't. Maybe in a couple of years' time, but I think at the moment, with everything that's happened, then not for now. It's a shame because we know how great a rider Danny Kent is, and you speak to a lot of people and they say that he is a nice guy as well. I've never met Danny personally, but you speak to a lot of people and he just say that he is a nice guy. So I would like to see him back. I'd actually still like to see him in the World Championships because obviously he's a world champion and he was teammate to Quartararo in Moto2 last year, and just see what Quartararo's doing this year. And we know Danny Kent does have the talent and he should be in
he did.
at least World Superbikes. You don't lose talent. You still got the talent.
Okay.
But
I think it would be a shame to see him not return somewhere, given the way that, given what happened, and we're not going to go over it again and talk all about what happened. But as I say, I think it would be a shame if he just vanished forever off a racetrack. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think he'll keep his head low for a while, and then we will see him somewhere someday. But I don't think next year will be that year.
Fair enough. And any other bits of BSB news or anything?
I've been checking social media just in case we've had some breaking news during the show, but it seems all quiet at the moment. So, yeah, nothing to report. Anything else for the time being. But then again, my computer's been very slow and my phone's not playing ball, so I could be missing something.
Okay, well, fair enough. Let's just presume that in a world where news does usually break during the show on a Thursday, that nothing has broken at all, and we're all fine, and everyone's good and happy, and we'll go into Friday with this show completely factually accurate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would like to point out that obviously there's a lot of cool fab riders going to British Talent Cup next season, and a lot of them have been out testing in Spain this week. So, a lot of them have been getting to grips with the Moto3 bikes, which will be the sort of the standard Honda for 2020. So, yeah, it's going to be good to see how they do for next season. And there's been a lot of testing going on out of Spain, and some of them have been testing sort of pre-Moto 4 bikes, so like 4-stroke Moto 5s, I think they're called. So yeah, it's exciting stuff. There
is expected to be a large field, certainly not a small field, in the new look British Talent Cup, whether it's still named British Talent Cup. It should be anyway, but I hear that there's developments on the way for that, potentially. just to give it a bit of... Now that it is more of a... It's completely sort of away from Dorna, obviously, you're going to need to, from a commercial point of view, commercialise it a bit more. So I don't know if it'll take on a title sponsor or something like that. But I do hear that there is many riders who have at least expressed a very serious interest in being part of that grid. And we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. Yeah. That's it. Really. I've got nothing else to say on that anyway. Yeah. But stay with motorsport.radio over the winter for all the biggest and smallest breaking news from MotoGP, World Superbikes, World Supersport, and BSB, and the support categories as well. And if you're not already a member, dive on to Facebook and the BSB and support categories Facebook fans group, where you can enjoy regular gossip, important gossip, and nothing nonsense at all. No, it is a good group. Check it out. Join up there. It's like 18,500 peeps. Check out the latest news on there. Stick with all the latest updates from Motorsport Radio. Our team of journalists like Mr. Liam Hodgins and Tim Davis as well, and other journalists joining the team shortly. But yeah, that should all be good. So Liam, what are you doing motorsport wise this weekend? Anything?
So motorsport-wise, I will be keeping an eye on the MotoGP from Malaysia in Sepang.
Yeah.
So
you're just watching?
Yeah, so that'll be on. Be watching TV, and I'll be tweeting live updates about it. So if you're not up, you've missed the race, and you've gone, I wonder what happened, just check the Motorsport Radio Twitter account, and you can check for live updates for Moto3, Moto2, and MotoGP, like I did at Phillip Island. And this time I promise I won't fall asleep before the MotoGP race. So yeah, unfortunately I did that.
No, you did a good job, to be honest.
I did alright.
You did alright. This weekend I'll be mostly going to a thing at Silverstone, some industry conference type thing, mostly involving cars. But I will mostly have the weekend free to catch up on some other live motor racing. So yeah, MotoGP, and is there any other... I'm just thinking of like F1. To be honest, F1 and me now are completely disconnected, to be honest. Last Grand Prix I saw...
Isn't everyone?
Well, no, a lot of people do still try and watch both, but I mean, like last F1 race I watched was the British Grand Prix. And I have no idea about anything
1985.
Yeah.
Kidding on.
I've just been so involved in the old bikes and the live streaming and doing our own productions. So there you go. But I will definitely catch up with all the racing this weekend on the... what time's it on? Normal times?
It'll be during the night for MotoGP, and I know Formula 1's going to be late on at night on Sunday, so I'm not sure on the times just yet, but it'll be, I think it's an hour later than what Australia usually is, so the MotoGP race will start at like 5 or 6 in the morning compared to what it did last weekend. So
fair enough. Yeah. I will have the weekend to spend up all night. Reminds me of just being a kid, being young, when like you like watch it downstairs and like there's nobody else around. It's like 5 a.m. and you're watching the Grand Prix dead early, and it's like you're just stuffing your face with biscuits.
Those were the best days. I can't disagree with you in that one, because it was you in your own little world. You got to watch the MotoGP, the best time ever.
And those days never happen anymore like that. Anyway, but that's it. That's the end of the show. And thank you very much for tuning in. If you have done live, if you've downloaded this as an podcast, then thank you. Leave your comments in the comments box below wherever you've tuned in, and we would very much love to see you back here next week. I think we're doing a show. I don't think I'm doing anything else. Are you? I don't know.
No. Next week I'm still here, primed and ready for a show, talking about the Malaysian Grand Prix and any other breaking news from World Superbikes, potentially from the show in Milan next week.
Oh yeah. We'll try and grab a good few handful of riders as well on the show, so that you're not just listening to us waffle on about our opinions. So
still working on Jake Jackson.
Yeah, why not? Get him on. Anyway, let's bring Boo on. That's it for the Superbike Show. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good night.